right, well, we're going to kick off the afternoon session with Jake, Wisconsin Referee Society. That's it, right? Yeah. I'll give you a 10-minute notice if you run late, and I'll knock on the door. If you need me, we'll be outside.
Sounds good.
Go for it.
Alright, so I can put some credentials up there. The biggest thing about that is that just means I've talked to a lot of people that are smarter than me from a lot of different places. That's the big takeaway. It's not about what I did, it's what I heard, right? And then for the structure of this, I just wanted to get some questions you guys had about maybe you've never talked to a referee at all about what they're doing over there. So we can have that talk now. We can do something specific. I have videos for some specific situations that people usually ask about. I have 2 about some of the new laws. I have a bunch of stuff about breakdown, so we can talk about that. To start, I just want to get a gauge of where everyone's at. I know there's some people who are our referees. Who's here as a player? Put your hand up. Who's here as a coach or administrator? Right on, so we got that's good. Sweet. So right away, does anybody have any questions, like something you wanted to ask a referee or something that's happened in the last year, or just like, I need to know what's going on with this?
Tackle, assist.
Yeah.
Releasing the ball, not releasing. I mean, there's a punt. I can go on for hours.
Yeah, you can.
You only take
Jake, you wished I went to something else. I know already.
Nope. You're feeding right into exactly what I expected was going to happen here.
Because Brad even goes, get up front.
All right, so we're going to go through the whole progression of the tackle then as a starting point. So from referees, these videos that I have in this example are pulled from the referee Sevens International Guidance, and then a professional referee from the Super Rugby competition. So that's just where these are. And these are available on YouTube, and if people are curious, any more information. So this is going to be a tackle or not a tackle or a maul, right, situation. So we have a white ball carrier is going into contact here. You can see, so is this a maul or not?
Yes.
Why?
Because you have it's held up, you've got another player from the same team that is bound onto the ball carrier driving.
Correct. So white second player is there. The second thing I would ask you to listen for as a player, which you might not hear on the sideline as a coach, is the referee is going to let you know if it is a maul or not. In 15s especially, we'll let these ride a little bit, because if they go to ground, it's just a tackle, and we'd rather play on from that rather than screwing around with setting up a whole scrum. Because in 15s, that takes 90 seconds off the clock where no rugby's happening. This one's going to go finally to the ground, and you see green 3 right there.
Rolled in.
What's that?
He rolled into it.
Can you do that?
No.
Yes, he can.
So what?
He was already there. It's a maul. He doesn't have to release.
It's the ball. You don't have to do anything except not play the ball.
He's where he
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Maul, you can kill it. You're right.
He's where he was before. Is
Yeah.
basically like the big thing there. If like one of these other green players who's on their feet is like that's a maul that's gone to ground and then joins it to kill the ball, they can be penalized. Yeah.
Is there anything you don't want green 3 to do?
It's a wide open question, Phil.
Punch.
You're the ref. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
nothing agrees, obviously. So if he's bound to the player and not the ball, and then it goes to the ground, can he then grab the ball to hold it up?
Yes.
So make it dirty for the other people?
I prefer not, because like I said, is like he's where he is when the maul went to ground, and if he's gone and changed something, then it's like that's not one of his options.
Okay, so if it goes to the ground, you don't want anyone who is bound in the ball to then change how they're bound?
Not typically. Again, that's something that's super hard to see. As a flanker, I would totally cheat my ass off and do that. Absolutely. So it's like, are you going to get caught? Yes or no? Right? So they're just going to word scrum, right? So no big deal there. Any questions on tackle? Or wait, this should have another one in it, actually. This one this one's going to be not a maul, and you're going to see. So green 9 here is actually going to hold off. He's the second player. And 4, they're saying I'm not there.
Yep.
So not a maul, right? You can't see it on the video, but the reason green joined there is the green player who was in the tackle, he got his knee to the ground. And then the referee indicated that it is now a tackle. You can see by his actually, I wonder if we can get the audio for this. Right?
Yep.
So then at that point, What do you think he's going to call here?
Tackle, assist, not release.
Yeah, black is clearly cheated here. They did not comply with releasing the tackle, and then they just gone and killed the ball, right? Exactly what he's saying. Yeah, he makes it not really singular. All right, the next thing we're looking for in the tackle, when a tackle occurs, is we need that tackler. Once they're on the ground, they need to get out of the way. So as I'm working through my progression of the breakdown, I say tackle has happened. If there's a question, like in the first example where borderline did a knee go down or not, I will say tackle so it's clear to the players. But once that happens, it's going to be this space here. Sorry, I need to shut this off again. So that was enough, right? We're just looking at red 8 here. That's a bad picture. 9's there ready to play the ball, basically. Ball's available. So the problem is, right, because ball's here. Yep. So the only person slowing it down is 8, and he's doing it illegally.
He backs into 9 too on the way.
What's that?
When he's getting out, he backs into 9 too.
Yeah, which is interesting on this is like if he had gone out topside, he might have been fine. But he took the long way out. Next question.
Yeah. And maybe we need to sort of, but like I feel like that position right there, that tackle, maybe not that exact, but in Wisconsin rugby, especially in Division III, Wisconsin rugby,
Yep.
the whole game can like just be decided by the way the serve plays or doesn't play that situation.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
I totally agree with you.
Because what is Wisconsin rugby all about? It's about bringing as many fucking people into the ruck as you can.
Especially in D3.
Right? And when that guy doesn't do that, and he doesn't get out of there, the next 4 guys that come porking their way into the ruck and flow it over and get the ball back is all completely illegal.
Yeah.
And it gets allowed egregiously. Like, you literally strategize to play that way and just win the game because you know you'll be able to follow rucks, the certain won't call penalties, and control the game.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes it's a shit show. Like it's not rugby anymore. So how do you address that
with my
with
referees? Or how do you as a player address that?
How do you address that?
Answer both, please.
I hope the answer is you can't.
I mean, write an email to Cassetta.
And I forward it on to Jay.
Not even the development officer. This is a broken system.
Works out.
As in works. Brad, we're gonna talk tomorrow. So as a player, as a captain in this game, right, like the most you can do is like we are trying to play fast. Like try to convince the ref the positive things you're trying to do that are being hindered by this negative play, right? It may not, this might not convince them, but rather than saying like they're laying on the wrong side, it's like, okay, the ref might be like, but you guys weren't trying to do anything cool, right? It might be like it's immaterial, but if you say like we are trying to play a lot faster than this pace, and this is the problem. Now, like if you give them a reason, it might help. I don't know, like that's at most what you can do in the parameters of the 80 minutes, though. Right? Unless other people have other ideas.
Old school way or?
I'm not going there.
Lay on the wrong side of the
I
old school
think
way.
playing on what he's saying though too is convincing him that you're doing, tell him this is what we're trying to do and reach in and try to do it because that helps us see how they're affecting play. So there's a lot of times we're trained, it's not affecting play, we're not going to, obviously this is pretty clear at this level, he's clearly affecting the play. If at your level, they're not seeing that it's affecting play, go in there and show that you're trying to play.
Yeah, that's a good point, because what a lot of times will happen is like if the scrum half sees this, they'll just, so he's actually has gone and tried to play the ball, right? But you'll see some scrum halves will just do this.
You're not doing
And
it.
if I'm a referee, I'm like, it's like, yeah, that guy's in a bad spot, but like, is your attack even set up to receive this ball? Or are you just trying to win a penalty for a penalty? So yeah, be doing positive play is a big part of that.
What's your opinion on if Red 8, if he would have, say you're in the way, if he would have grabbed the ball, put it on the other side of the ball.
What?
You're on the wrong side of the ball.
Give it to the man.
Yeah, I think I've seen that be played on once. and I've seen it a handful of times, but like sometimes it'll work.
I mean, it's illegal, but you're helping the flow of the game.
Yeah, it's usually not faster than just not being there at all. Though, so
Right.
that's the contention. Everybody clear on tackler roll?
Yeah.
On the tackler rolling, what would the optimal solution be to that? Roll to the side, if possible. I know sometimes you
Shortest
can
distance out of the rock.
On the right side.
We said shortest distance.
If you're tackling somebody and you gotta roll out, you wanna roll out the shortest distance from the rock. You don't wanna take the long way, you wanna take the short way. Get the fuck out of it.
So this one's got a couple different examples. We can see if we get any different looks about which way they roll in this one. So that one's hard done by her other player. So the second player, the blue player who's on her feet, screwed that one up. She went to go make a poach of this, didn't let her own player roll out of the tackle, and she was trying to go towards the defense on this one, which would have worked, but this is not. Does that make sense why this one's not enough here? Yeah, but like she was trying to, but another defender impeded it, right? And we can still penalize that because it's still slowing down the ball.
Can you play that one more time?
So the two thing on caution, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Not that the.
So this player here was the tackler. She fell on this side of the ball, like Red 8 did in the last example. Tried to go this way, which would have made clean ball for the attack. That would have been legal and play on. Blue 2 has come in, prevented this player from finishing that roll. This ball is now slow, and it's their fault. So that player didn't roll any direction at all. So we're not getting, they're not helping us out here. Right, everyone see that one? Mm-hmm. Let's move on. So gold 14 on the ground, which way did she roll?
Short camera.
Is that long or short way?
Short.
I think that's long. That's a little subjective, but right. So here, I know she's almost dead center, but given that the ball is to the camera here, I would say the short roll is away.
Right.
Which, I mean, that's a good rule of thumb, but it also depends what the attack's doing. So even if you just every time you're there, you're just like obviously you can't see kind of what's going on around you, so you just make a decision. It could still be wrong, but short is usually good because it gives you best option to be out of the way.
If you go move the clip forward just a second, she does the kind of classic thing where players throw their hands up in the air.
Goal 14.
That I can't move.
Yeah.
That doesn't show that you're trying to move at all. That shows that you surrender to giving any effort to getting out of there.
I tell all of my players don't ever fucking do that.
Yeah.
What you're doing is saying, hey sir, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm offside.
That's acknowledging you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do
I thought
that.
that
Just
the point
correct yourself.
of putting your arms up was to be clear that you're not touching the ball. Because you're not supposed to be playing on the ground. So I was always told, put your hands up while you're getting yourself out to make it clear that you are not actually touching the ball or interfering with anyone's play.
So in this case, she's not also making an effort to get away. She's putting her hands up where she could be using to crawl.
Because the other team stuck her knee into her chest. Like she was rolling out to the side.
We have two different things going on. So there's one talk about like, what is she doing with her hands here? And it's like, as a referee, if there's a breakdown and I say no hands and I see someone show me their hands, then I know they're not playing the ball. And that is useful. The problem with this breakdown is earlier than all of this.
Before she rolled.
It's these 3 seconds. Sorry, it's right before that. I'll let it run this time. There, she doesn't move, and then she goes the wrong, and then she rolls right to the rug support, like towards the ball.
Yeah.
She had a beat on the ground where she could have moved and didn't, and then rolled the wrong way. Everything else of that is immaterial.
And into your response where you watch the young lady where she's got her knee on her, she can't move out. If you watch a lot of the premiership games and they catch somebody on that side of the ball, they will pin them into that scrum because they're not supposed to be there in the first place. And now they're playing with penalty. So it's, you know, are they letting them out? No, but you shouldn't be there in the first place.
Open that back up.
Okay.
Same point there. Another piece of that is if this player makes that side roll get stuck on a knee, but the ball is right behind her hips, and the scrum half can play it out, would you play that on?
Yeah, if it hasn't slowed down the ball.
So then in this whole clip, it's, yeah, Four didn't move fast enough, but then her teammate's trying to grab and ball. And
Yeah.
she's only able to get that ball because Four was a little bit slow. But if Four is a little bit slow and 3 doesn't touch it, what do you think?
Yeah, and you'll hear some refs do this. Well, they'll say gold, leave it, meaning to have this gold 3 player not join this, which then I can play on if this ball still comes out fast, right? 7's at international level. They don't coach a lot. The players just don't make mistakes, right?
And I would love for our referees to get to that point where they can do that. Some do, some don't. Where they're not very vocal with hands away, tackles made, roll away, things like that as it's progressing.
Yeah, that's a really hard art to learn because
It is.
you're coaching at the high school level where you have tons of new players, and it's like then you want a referee to like know the law and then also have empathy for precisely the level of the referee.
Well, I see it at the club level too. So I mean, I know what you're saying. It's just I think if you could take anything away from the coaches here, is have your refs be as vocal as possible. And hand signals would be wonderful.
Yeah.
So we know what the heck.
Yes.
On the side.
Yeah.
So, from a referee standpoint, one of the first competencies that you have when you're trained as a referee is primary signal. It's whistle, primary signal. It's like the top 3 things that you do, right? Secondary signal is in the top 10. So, like, these are definitely things that we train on purpose for those specific reasons. Compliance is a different issue. The refs will meet tomorrow and talk about that.
No problem.
This one's just about gate entry. So here we have a line break. You'll see white is going to slow this ball down here. So I'll show that again. Yeah. So we're looking for in gate entry, when there's a tackle, even if there's no ruck, there's still places the defense can't be, and that main spot is right behind that tackle because we want the attack to be able to play it, especially on a line break. That's positive play from the attack. You want to see like more rugby happen after that, and the defense here is just going to cheat so they don't get scored on, right? Bang. What are they doing there? Does that concept make sense?
So is that like coming in from the side or?
Yeah, this ref actually signals offside right there, but then she also signals he must come around. So she gives 2 different reasons for the penalty. Here, offside, come around.
That means all she did was turn around. I was just gonna say the player in offense, she was standing right next to the offensive player and just turned around on her feet, right? Like it was just like a singular pivot. So she's in the wrong because she didn't even bother to like get further back or try to come in from anything. She literally is standing next to. She takes like one pivot on one foot, right?
Line, she never crosses it.
So she's standing. She's standing right next to the red girl or red woman in a second, and then just turns around. See?
Right.
So she like doesn't even try. Like I was just kind of clarifying in my head what she did wrong.
She got herself in an onside position.
All right, there's a couple different things people are saying, and some of them are not precisely accurate. So there is no offside line here.
Okay.
There's no ruck. This player is still offside because they're in a spot they cannot beat, which is at the back of an attack and breakdown. You just can't be there unless you come through your own side. So that's why first signal is offside. She's in a spot where she can't beat. Her only way to get there, referee's second signal, is you must come from your own side. So this is, we call this, you also see it as like side entry. And you get this sometimes, and you say you must come through. So where this gate is, which is what this all comes down to, is this player. So this player is actually pretty close. We can't do it because the red attack is here. We would have to come straight down this red player on the girl floor's body. That's the only place the defense can enter, and they have to come all the way from this side of it. They can't start here, right? They kind of have to do it all the way that side.
I have a question about that pivot that you kind of see, and we've one-on-one, I've asked this about the high school game because of, you know, like people are less likely to contest, like if someone's there, people are likely to leave it alone, and for, at least for the Furies.
Yeah.
And so their strategy for that is to do that, the tackles, they pivot right over. And I'd ask you about that, and if, like, where that kind of, like, at what point is that kind of like, it's not getting called because of playing on, or because of wanting to keep the game at that level, just kind of going, and you're not nitpicking things. But for the other refs too, I just didn't know, like, because to me that doesn't, I don't want to teach that way, of like, yeah, you just pivot over it, and you're not fully coming through the gate, but it's like a little cheat code that started being used.
Yes, so to make sure I understand what you're talking about, I'll get a picture of it here. So let's say, in more of like a push down tackle situation, or say this white tackler here who she actually comes down with her torso right on the ball carrier, her feet are on kind of like in this area, and she just kind of stands up right here and tries to immediately play the ball. That's what you're saying about like the pivot is kind of, sorry. Or if their torso lands here and the legs are kind of maybe 90 degrees to the picture, and they just kick their legs back here while their torso stays here, and they try to play the ball as a defender. It was just a tackle.
Yes,
right?
that they're just swinging over and kind of being there so that it's not going to get contested, but that's not necessarily, like, they're not coming through the gate, right, to set that and get in the correct, like, timing of it, and it's just, you know, it's like a little cheat code, basically.
This one, I think, is being ref inconsistently at a lot of levels right now. There was a game management guideline at the international level last year to force defenders, especially on a line break, to do it this way where they have to come all the way from their side. I don't see that get ref that way in a ton of other places yet, though. But
I think it's because in the chaos sometimes of, you know, with high school rugby, sometimes people are, you know, running and then they're like, oh, I gotta get back. And then rather than, you know, making the effort to kind of backtrack and come in through the gate, it's like they're stopping, the tackle's happening here, so they're being told just, okay, I'm just gonna step over. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain, I have to like show you, but it's hard to explain, but I was basically with the pivots, like.
Yeah, I'll try to find it. There's Damien McKenzie does it, he's playing fullback in Super Rugby about 2 years ago. There's a line break, he chases it down and does a pivot tackle like that you're talking about, where tackle gets immediately to his feet and steals the ball. It all happened so fast, and I was like, he's gonna get penalized for that, and I was wrong. So like, there is, like, that's what I'm saying is like, I haven't seen it like a consistent, clear thing, and it's gonna be a gradation of like, were their feet pushed this way or not, kind of thing. So that one's gonna be tough, I think.
Yeah.
I heard tackler assist, Matt, right?
Always.
All right, so let's just talk about what referees are looking for, right? First, we need to determine when a tackle has happened, so, right? And then everyone who is involved in the tackle, whether they're on their feet or not, first thing they have to do is release. Are we seeing that from all black players? Right, black number 1. Does that clear it up, Matt?
No, that's perfect. I think honestly, taking these into 7s compared to 15s, where there's more bodies, it gets murky.
Yes.
My favorite now is when the defense releases, keeps their hands on the ground, and they bear crawl through the ruck.
Right.
Which is what I've seen a lot of high schools start doing, and it irritates me beyond it because that's illegal.
You are correct. I do not have an example of that, unfortunately. I have the Jackler drinks in the It was quick.
Ooh. She didn't release.
Her hands are on the ground.
Release with your hands around the ground now.
She went right from tackle to ball.
Show that full speed once.
So, kind of on that, something that I remember hearing all the time in college get called was like keeping your feet. And I feel like since then I've never heard it again. Like everyone's talking about hands in the ruck or like what's touching the ground and what's not, but I feel like I haven't heard like to keep your feet for a really long time. Did something change recently?
No. So you're saying you don't hear defenders get penalized for being off their feet in this situation?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like that hasn't changed. And it's actually the only change was to make it easier to penalize the defense. Because now, like, it wasn't always explicit that if you see this from someone who's trying to poach the ball, they're basically if their hands or elbows touch the deck, they're liable for penalty. You know, it's like that's kind of part of the picture that we're looking for. I'm also evaluating this hip angle, so you can see torso's below. This is, her weight's here, and she needs this ground to not actually fall down. So she's not on her feet here. Her weight's supported here, not here. Alec?
Pivoting topics just a little bit. I've seen a trend recently where instead of a tackle assist, the defense will wait and have a player there completely not part of the tackle, so fully tackle complete. They'll wait and then go. Are we looking for clear hands? So since he's not part of the tackle, he doesn't have to butterfly show. He can immediately go down. Since he's not part of the tackle, we don't need to see any sort of daylight.
Right, you already saw the daylight. He was not part of the tackle.
Right. So I've just seen it a lot recently where they're waiting for the tackle to fully happen and immediately go to the ball.
Are you worried about anything in that situation?
He can't grab until the tackler releases grab.
Right.
There's no, I've heard this from people, I think it was you, that as the ball carrier, they have to let me place it. No, they don't. You have to let go of it. If they're taking it from you, they can take it.
Yeah, I think so. Your question was the tackler has to release before someone on their feet can play the ball.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
The tackler,
Which I don't think, which is not true.
It's more important about where the tackler's body is. Less concerned about releasing the tackle and more concerned about is the tackler in the way of where the ball carrier is trying to place the ball. And then, Jake, there's a question over here about, can you help define jackler?
Oh.
That's what this person is.
Good question. So there's a new law trial that went into effect. One of the things they did was they actually defined jackler in the law book. It is this green player who's trying to poach the ball. It's the first player who arrives on their feet who's trying to steal the ball. This player was also the tackler and then became the jackler. You can also just be a jackler without being a tackler.
So the first poacher, according to law, is the jackler. That's the official
Correct.
term right now? Okay.
Yes.
specifically the first or any?
Specifically this first.
So we'll have jackal assist. But serious question. Just so I get your clarification right. One person tackles, okay? And they do not have to release before the jackler can get the ball.
That's technically true, yes.
Okay, well now you say technically. So I just want this to make sure I'm right with this. I can tackle, boom, over my shoulder, hang onto his feet, and then my buddy who had no chance of getting the ball or tackling, or I should say part of the tackle, can now go over, and I can just keep hanging onto that guy's feet.
You still have to release the tackle.
I will, but I'm going to give it a second or two to get my.
But then you're risking a penalty, though.
But with what you just said, I can do that.
Technically, the only time it's allowed is if the tackle has gone to ground and the poacher's there so quickly that the tackler does not have time to do that.
Okay.
Here's the I'm good with it. Jackling it too early, you're getting penalized for holding on to it.
Right.
I mean, eventually, I'm not going to sit there and hug them for 5 minutes. But if I can hang on.
2 seconds is too long.
Yeah, 2 seconds.
2 seconds is a long
That's
time.
too long.
But still, in this
It's
case.
not about how much time. It's like, did you have the opportunity? Tackle is complete.
Okay.
And then the first thing you have to do as a tackler is release.
Just don't coach cheating.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's not easy, Matt.
I don't. Hang on.
At what point does a jackal turn into a rock?
Ooh, that's good.
Huh.
I don't think I was big.
So,
Yeah.
if they're the jackler and they're there before a ruck is formed, hands on the ball, they get to keep their hands on the ball. So a ruck can form over them, but they still have rights to that ball as the first arriving player. So although someone may bind into them in a ruck, they can keep their hands on the ball and either win it or win that not releasing penalty. Does that
Thank
answer?
you. I guess I feel like, I don't remember if it was me or someone on the team, but I feel like I remember somebody like going in for like a jackal and the someone coming up as though they were going to have this big ruck so quickly that it was called hands in the ruck rather than a jackal. And maybe that was just like a bad call. Maybe that was just like a me not seeing things clearly. So I'm kind of curious like where we draw that line. So if it's, if you're jackling, like it never turns into a ruck until it becomes like a different ruck, then like that's.
It's in your case is what happens first. Did the ruck get formed before they got their hands on the ball? Then it's a ruck. If they had their hands on the ball and they hit them, they still have rights to the ball.
So it's about timing of hands on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if the hands get to them before the arriving player on the tack or the ball carrying side, if the tackle assist or jackler gets there before the first arriving player, they have rights to the ball. A ruck can form over them, but they can keep their hands.
Okay.
So the defining point of a ruck is when there are two players from opposing teams over the ball in contact with each other. Oh, yeah, the sevens changed. One attacking player over the ball on their feet. Which makes it harder than if there's someone wants to come jackal. Which this happened to me in the high school girls' state final. There was one attacking player standing over the ball, and the defender just came and walked up and went, boop! Because they weren't the attack hadn't owned that space enough. And it looked so weird to me in the moment when penalty against the defense, and I think that was the wrong call. Because they left the ball at the front of the tackle where it was reachable without making contact. So one of the weird things you see.
As long as they're standing over the ball, right? As long as the ball's covered.
Yeah, so ruck was formed, but ball was reachable by the defense. So why?
So it'd be like the 8-man picking it, except there's nobody from their team in front of it.
Totally wild. This we'll have an example of. Here's the one where we have that defender hands on the deck, kind of crawling through the ruck as well. This one's not as bad, and we've seen players go fully to ground and then get up and ruck straight from that spot. Mm-hmm. If I ever see a player go to ground in the ruck, I'm admonishing that player to retreat and rejoin from the last foot. So Bluetooth is just crawling his way through there. Yep. Still 6 times.
What's the official penalty for that?
It was hands. So it's drop your feet.
I know. Okay, that's just.
I will do it. So if I see a player do this, who goes all the way to their feet, and then a ruck is formed over them, and they kind of just do an up down and push up, and then
inside the ruck, and then keep
the ruck's here, and then they just do this and hit from in here. It's I penalize that as entry. It almost doesn't matter. It's offside. They're joining from not. So.
Yeah, no, I know it's illegal. I just want to know what is the ref supposed to be on when my player does the illegal thing. I don't.
That's one of those ones that there's 3 different penalties that I think they would all be legitimate.
Is there anything that you do in your pregame to help a team understand how you want them to behave in a breakdown when a tackle happens? I feel like we've seen a few examples of these are good ways to get dinged. So there's a lot of coaches in here, right? So what's a good way to make sure, as a referee, do you do that in your pregame? Do you just say here's what I'm looking for in the breakdowns at all?
Stress keeps
some refs do. I'll be honest.
The trick with the pregame talk. The trick with the pregame talk is you do not know what the team's experience has been in the past with their referees for the most part. You don't know what their breakdowns have looked like before. So it's telling them anything in the pregame talk I'm looking for clean ball at the back of the breakdown. Especially the high school, exactly, what is that? What does it mean relative to the other breakdowns my team has already seen? It's hard to do. What I usually do is I tell people the progression, what we're walking through right here. I say that, I'm at every tackle, I'm looking for a tackler, tacklers have to release, tackler has to roll, ball carrier has to release, in that order. And everyone has to come straight through. I say, that's what I say.
I would caution against that, especially in a pregame.
Against what?
Getting into any sort of specifics in a pregame chat.
You're referring to Phil's comment or to what I just said?
No, to Phil's comment. I'm backtracking, sorry. I wouldn't get into any specifics because you're going to ping yourself in a corner. So you might say something, then you're going to be held to an expectation, even if there's gray area. I think it would be best to, especially if it's a Saturday game, if coaches reach out to you during the week, get some of those clarifications for what they should be looking at for Saturday. So have it done a day before, 2 days before. So they don't want to take their warm-up time.
So that would be great. But D3 Wisconsin, half the time we don't know who our ref is going to be until that part.
Fair. Only the North ones.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So, but what we usually do as players is we're having the pregame chat. If we have a concern, like, hey, last time we had you as a ref, you were doing this. I don't think that's right. We'll address it. and your captain should address that. That that's what they're there for.
I wouldn't say it that way.
No, but the ref shouldn't bring it up. The ref should answer any questions you have. I don't think they should take the time.
I agree.
All right, so this is kind of related to your question about when does a jackler become a ruck kind of situation. So this red player is on his feet. He's kind of got his hands on. He's going to do a good job of showing a clear release. He's going to go straight back on and get the ball, and then contact is going to be made by black. He has the ball. They're going to award a penalty to red there. So it's hard to see precisely what happened as far as like the timing of hands on the ball, but from where this referee was, we can infer he probably saw the red had hands on, and then the black player made contact. So he had hands first, so still has rights to that ball. If he had been hands after contact, it would have been a ruck, no hands allowed.
Can you show it again, please?
Yes. I mean, it's tough because it's not a super clear picture.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, the penalty there is against black.
Correct. He's going to go holding on.
Or not release.
Yep. Yeah. I would not.
Like there was also a side entry and.
Hold up. We'll walk through here. So that first blue player or black player who joined there, that angle, I'm okay with that. This red player's on the ground. He's moving out of the way. They're having a contest. That seems fine. I wouldn't ding him for side entry. Because if I'm doing that, I actually have to ding red 10.
It's the next one.
The next one side entry?
6 blue.
Yeah, the next black player comes in from the side right there.
Yeah.
That one is that the red's got the ball, right? So they're tackling red.
You're such a flanker. You want to go. What flanker you are.
I look better in the super Freeman at time when you watch it live. You watch a lot from the side.
Yeah, but again, I think like look where red 10 is. So red 10 is restricting blue 6's options here. So as a referee, I'm going to have a little bit of empathy for 6's angle of joining this breakdown.
Makes sense. Like I said, it looked better going slow right there than it did.
And then
when you played it live.
And then why are we thinking anything about diving over?
Because I thought I saw him start signaling a diving over. I didn't see it. No, the ref started. That's what I thought he started signaling it.
Okay. Yeah, there's nothing. If that had been just a ruck where that blue had won that ball and red never touched it, that would have been a play on ruck. There's no off feet for me there. I think we're mostly familiar with this. This is going to be a ball carrier holding on. Right, so what we're looking for here is because, bang, tackle complete. So third thing that I'm looking for to happen is the ball carrier has to release this ball. Right?
Or make it just pass it.
That would be a release, Steve. Any questions about this? I think this one's pretty obvious. Okay. I do know this is tricky. There could be games where like you don't clearly have a tackle, like was that player held or not, which is the other condition of the tackle. This guy's clearly held, he goes to the ground, rolls over while the tackler's still there. Sometimes you get things that are more close to an ankle tap, right? An ankle tap is not a completed tackle. That player with the ball has just gone to ground, there's no tackle, there's no tackler. They can get up without releasing the ball. Somewhere between those two, you have the gray area, and a player's expectations are going to be a little strange. Referees should be acknowledging, should be having empathy with players in those situations where expectations are unclear and help them by saying either tackle or not held. Something along those lines so that all the players know what their options are.
So in this gray area, Jake, say this exact same tackle happens, but as they're hitting the ground here, red completely slips out of this guy's grasp, like before they hit the ground. Are you calling tackle there?
Before they hit the ground?
Before they hit the ground.
That's what tackle.
Okay.
Tackle is defined by being held and the ball carrier having gone to ground being defined as butt, knee, or elbow. We always get confused. That's one in the NFL, but I said that. Another one, ball carrier thing here. So you see this in the international and professional level, and sometimes it's allowed, sometimes it's not. Uh-oh. Here we go. Catch that?
Yeah.
He's going to do a little army crawl with the ball here. One, two, three, four. The reason this one definitely gets penalized is look where the goal defense is, especially goal, I believe it's 4. Right? So the player with the strapping on his leg, there he's over that ball carrier on the ground, like he's in a good position. His hands are on the deck here, but that's because that player has crawled into him, right? So if I go back a frame or 2, video, of course. Right, so he's on his feet there and ready to play the ball. And if the referee's right in position, if he thinks he's seen daylight, that guy's totally legal to play the ball. Pogos is also close to a pivot tackle. You can see where his right leg with the strapping is not quite
Right.
where we'd like it, but I think there, he gets
He
there.
moves it back.
Yeah.
Right.
And because that black player is still trying to like move forward on the ground illegally, he's going to get a little grace. The goal player's going to get a little grace. Any questions about this?
So you do get a movement, right? And a lot of times the strategy is for that movement to take out the defenders.
Yeah, you get one movement, which should be place the ball.
You get a roll or an extra roll or a crawl.
No.
I did have an extra roll video in here and I took it out. No.
You get a movement of placing the ball.
So
if I get tackled and my chest is towards my attacking side, and I roll to place the ball, that's a roll into the defender's legs, but also
That's one to place one movement to place the ball.
Yeah. So yeah,
but I'm taking his feet up too.
So you're
that's
a bonus. So as a ref, you're looking for one fluid movement that places the ball, right?
It's a bigger picture than that. Like, because when you've gone to ground, you have to play the ball,
right.
And you have one move to do that. You can do something with your body and your arms to like place the ball, right? Like you can make a staple shape, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Fluid is less likely to get penalized. What I'm also looking for is what is the defense doing?
Okay.
Are they there on their feet ready to play that ball? Then you're at more risk for whatever you're doing. The longer the thing you take is doing, the more likely you are to get penalized because somebody else is there with rights to the ball. If there's no one there, you might be able to do the worm and get away with it.
I think you're trying to, I don't know, Kevin, what you're saying, you're trying to strategically like almost eliminate that defensive play.
Right.
If he were to, like his crawl, like obviously it was illegal, he's crawling too much, but if his intent is to try and make that defender uneligible to take the ball anymore. So instead of crawling it, if he tries to do like almost like a punch dodge, just like a dive through, well, that guy is offsides then, isn't he? So he can't, that tackler can't.
I'd have a hard time saying the defender's offside because you as a tackler are on the ground and move more forward. Tackle him.
Yeah,
like,
so I mean, if you try to make that dive as you're being tackled and going out to get as far forward as you can, right? So that's ultimately getting that defender in a bad position. So he can't play.
Yeah, so I mean, what's especially more interesting about this one in particular, like, okay, so Gold just kicked down to black. What do you think about Gold's kick chase here? It's decent. They're almost pretty much lined up on the 50. You're going to see the structure kind of coalesce. They connect. Black doesn't have a whole lot set up. If we go back a little bit, and looking what their entire backfield looks like here. So, right, you've got a couple backs back there, but it's like nothing's really on. They're not connected. Some are on this side, some are on that side, right? Basically, black is under pressure. Now they're under a lot of pressure. The defense has done a good job here. And this is kind of something we're also taking into account. I kind of said things like positive and negative play earlier. And that's something that refs are also thinking about. Like here, black's under pressure. Gold is doing positive play. They've kicked down, they've chased well, they've made a tackle. 3 good things in a row. And then we should let black cheat just to retain the ball after all the good stuff gold's done? It's not a lot of empathy for gold if we do that.
No, I would, yeah, I'm not trying to give them the opportunity. I think as a player, though, as you can see that he doesn't have anything around him, so he's trying to fight by time, trying to fight himself to keep the ball. Right? So,
I was yeah,
yes, illegal.
Right, and like we see tackles more like what you're talking about, like where the attack is doing something more positive and they kind of fall forward. Like this is a line break. This is gone forward, like right. Everything's moving forward in this case, right? Like I'm getting like red's going to get more grace in this case here. The attack is going to get more grace. Does that make sense? Had there been like a white player there, they would have to be retreating anyways after the line break. They're going to be on their heels, right? So.
Take these 10 minutes.
10 minute?
10 minute warning.
All right, we can do. I've got a couple stuff about support at the breakdown. It's just sealing off and clearing legally. We can touch on that, or I can open it up to other questions y'all have.
Under the new trial laws, there's allowed to be like 1 pre-bound player.
Yeah.
After they go into contact, if that first player at the front that's bound onto goes down, what is that second player allowed to do?
They must stay on their feet.
So they can, if they're brought to ground like, in a tackle or are they allowed to be that first person at the front?
Yeah, that's ideal. Yeah.
They are the first person to represent their.
Okay. And Memorial Times, it was like brand new. I got called being that first person in the ruck as the first coach on. I was like, I just don't think that the ruck rules are solid yet.
Yeah, so we should see it. So here, this is an example from an older game, pre the new law. So you can see here they've latched 2 players on, which you're not allowed to do anymore, and then all of those players have gone to ground. So in this one, I would be penalizing that white second player for having gone to ground as a latcher who needs to now stay on their feet. And then that one looks pretty good. You can see this player right here goes down, but he's kind of being messed with by this player as well, and is kind of taking him out. So he didn't go down with the tackle so much. Like tackle happens and then he goes down. That one's a little more borderline. Let's see if we got another example here. Or is just going to talk the whole time? Okay, here we go. That one doesn't matter because they scored a try.
So Chief, say that first latch player goes to ground, can they just roll out of that ruck right away and that's not going to be a sanction? Or just by virtue of latching on and going to ground with the tackler, it's automatic?
Yeah, it's pretty hard not to. So the whole thing so in refereeing, we have this concept of like, is it material or not? Like, does it matter for play? And so we talked about how like if red 8 at the very first example when they were not rolling away, if they had rolled the other way, or if the scrum half wasn't ready to play the ball, they might not have been penalized because it was not material. Same thing with your question. So if that first latcher goes to ground, but there's no defender there to play the ball, for example, then if they get out of there and it hasn't really affected the game, we can play on the sanction. Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
All right. Any other questions?
I suppose this one came up at the Old Boys Touch game last week. So defender fights the dummy, goes for an intercept, misses, and ends up behind the attacking line. Attacker has the ball here, the support man right here behind him. It never changes his lines. As he comes past, realizes he's behind it, turns around, and now the support runner is between him and the ball carrier.
The defender's between the support runner and the ball carrier?
The support runner is between the ball carrier and the defender.
Okay.
You see what?
Yep.
So they're running the support. He comes past and he thinks he's going to get a pick.
Yep.
Doesn't. He comes this way.
Yep.
Can he be obstructed this way, or?
Not unless the support player changes his line.
That was my feeling, but I wasn't sure. Because he doesn't do anything except running in support, straight line in support with the guy where he already was.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the support player doesn't go out of his way to obstruct him. Yeah. Because, like, that defender is technically the one who's, like, in the wrong place more, too, right? So I'm going to have a lot less grace for that defender being like, oh, I'm being obstructed. I'm like, you're on the wrong side of everything right now.
Hey, question on that. When you get a breakaway, and they're coming in, and let's say breakaway, you've got a line break, and all of a sudden they want to pass, but you've got a retreating defender.
Yeah.
They pass the ball, the defender catches it.
Yeah.
6 yards behind it.
Yeah.
Play on?
Why not?
Because technically, aren't they, well, there's no offside position.
Correct.
Okay, no, I understand the rule. I'm just like, there's been so many issues with, well, they're back behind, they're offsides, they're behind the ball. I always say you should know where you're passing to, first of all, duh. But, you know, I get it that they're technically what people would consider offsides, or behind the ball, but they're not technically offsides because there's no breakdown or rough form or things like that.
Yeah, there's a technical thing in that I think we don't need to get in the weeds here.
No, I don't want to get. I just want to make sure that that's correct. I mean, I always said, know where you're passing the ball.
Yeah.
To somebody with a different jersey on your maybe. But yeah, okay.
Cool. Yes.
50-22, does the breakdown have to be my side of the 50?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just like with 22 is where you say like if you passed it in or not. So like the ball's out in front of the 22, the attack passes it into a kicker who then kicks from behind the 22.
Yep.
Exact same concept.
Cool.
How many times did that 50-22 come up in Wisconsin Rugby this last season?
I saw it once in Division 1 game.
That's what. Yeah.
No, I had a successful at Madison in one of their D3 games. I had a successful 50-22 quick throw for a try.
That was against us, wasn't it?
Yes.
Was that?
Yeah.
Did we
I think so. That was great.
Cool. So thanks for coming and participating, everybody. I really appreciate that.